Hi everyone. Organising a wardrobe for your parent in a dementia unit takes some consideration, but the two key points to remember are stretch and comfort. The fabrics need to be stretchy so that for morning cares to put arms through and legs through, it's much easier for the carer and for the dementia resident themselves with dressing when there is that good stretch in the fabric. And the other aspect is comfort. The person no doubt will be sitting a lot of the day in those items, whether it's a dress or a skirt or pants, and be careful that there's not zips and fasteners and buttons that can create pressure areas. It needs to be, smooth flow fabric, comfortable, stretchy and easy for the person to sit in all day and enjoy their time at a dementia unit in comfortable, stretchy fabrics that don't create any problems with dressing, etc. I mean, it's different for everyone. Some people are more able than others. At the dementia units I've worked at, there's only been 2 cases that I can remember of men who have been able to wear jeans and for toileting, etc., manage that with all the zips and the buttons. Most men and women for trousers have elasticized waistbands so that they can get the trousers on and off easily for toileting. Otherwise, if they're in a rush and then they've got to organise zips and buttons, it can become too stressful. So all of that needs to be considered. Also the carers, if you get to know the carers at the dementia unit, they will advise you as well how well your mother is or isn't managing with her clothes. So take her advice, because she's the person that's dealing with your mother, every day with cares. So we'll be knowing how she's managing or not managing. Now, items not to be wary of. Back in the day, for many of these women here in New Zealand anyway, Liberty style blouses are very popular and still are actually with this well-dressed age group if they like to spend money on clothes, that is. But these blouses like Liberty bodice blouses that have these tiny little buttons all the way down the front, cuffs high up to the neck, buttons at the neck, really uncomfortable to sit in all day and really difficult for dressing because, 10 buttons down the front that you've got to button up. And then sometimes with cardigans, similar matching cardigans, same amount of buttons to do up. It takes so much time. So it's really better if it's just a slip-on stretch blouse. Use some lovely blouses you can get now, and they're not all expensive, and a jumper that you can just put your arms through, or cardigans with just a couple of buttons. Otherwise it just becomes awkward, time consuming for the carers when they're in a rush, always in a rush to do cares, and difficult too for the resident if the fabric, like with Liberty cotton blouses, are cotton, there's no give in the fabric and it takes so much longer with dressing. I mean, most residents don't really like dressing in the morning, so the quicker and more efficient it is, the better it is for them as far as they're concerned. So if it's easy wear garments that can be just put on quickly and stretch garments, then it's much better for everyone concerned. Now, in dementia facilities, being aware that most of the time the temperature is like warm, like Mediterranean temperature. So some residents like to wear a cardigan, but most of the time you don't need it. I mean, maybe a light cardigan and a blouse and trousers is enough. In fact, the lounge can get quite hot at times, especially in the summertime. So light gear for that. The only time the person needs a jacket or a scarf and hat is if they're going outside for a walk, which hopefully they are with you as the relative when you visit. But inside you don't really need warm gear. Saying that though, there was one guy at the dementia facility and he used to like to wear his bright green, it was a lovely jacket actually, it was a lime green Kathmandu duck-filled down jacket. He had a fabulous wardrobe and loved to show it off, and he did. He had lovely broad shoulders and showed it off to a high degree. Anyway, this Kathmandu bright green jacket he'd wear around the unit all the time. It was actually really good because his memory was poor and he was always losing his jacket. But because it was so bright and there was the only one of a kind in the unit, it was easily returned to him. So that's another good point, actually. The clothing items, firstly, make sure they're named, and laundries will generally do that, but you need to put them in a plastic bag, put the name of the resident on the front of the plastic bag, and then send it to the laundry for them to name, or sometimes the nurses will do that. But they easily go missing if you haven't got your name on the items of clothing when they go to the public laundry. You can imagine it's very difficult to find the owner again, and for expensive items you have to make sure that they're labelled. But also with that, for when residents, wanderers sometimes go through drawers and wardrobes and just take items willy-nilly and put them anywhere. If it's an identifiable item, then it's much easier to return. And especially if your mother's sitting in the lounge and she's, takes a cardigan off, and then it's a sort of a bright red cardigan, then it's easily returned, especially if the label's fallen off or something's happened to it. It's easily returned and identifiable. Now, the other aspect in terms of working wardrobe is that woolens need to be washed by the relative. Very important, because if they're accidentally sent to the laundry, these expensive, beautiful woolen cardigans can get wrecked in the laundry. Also, mohair rugs as well. They all need to be washed by the relative. So there's quite a lot to consider in a working wardrobe for a resident in a dementia unit. But, there's so many lovely, comfortable items that can be bought now. Sportswear's great for men and women too. Some women are happy to wear sportswear, but try to keep with the line of dress that the person's used to wearing, unless it's becoming difficult with dressing and it's becoming difficult with toileting, then of course it needs to be adjusted. But it's an ongoing process, clothes in a dementia unit, and that the laundry is pretty rough on clothes. I mean, all clothes are washed every day. It's a lot. So items need to be repurchased quite regularly. So just keep an eye on the wardrobe and how things are going and what needs to be purchased to keep up to date with it, rather than staff needing to correspond with you. It's much easier if every season going through all the drawers and the wardrobe to see what needs to be replaced, and then the person can be up to date with items that are comfortable and suitable. So just another job, I know, as a relative. There's always a lot to do, always so much more to do for people in dementia facilities than what people realise. So much more to do. It's not just that they're there and they're cared for and that's it. There's still a lot of ongoing things that relatives have to do, especially the power of attorney. So hopefully brothers and sisters and grandchildren and other friends and family are helping as well, because it just takes the load off the main carer that's, supporting the person. So these are the two books, The Resident's Voice and The Resident's Rise, both from a dementia unit that I've written. Thank you for your looks and your likes and subscriptions, and please pass on to others. I'd really appreciate that. Thank you.